All right, hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for being patient and stuff. Just getting things all set up. You know how it is. Oh man, whew. All right, let's see if we got this going. Okay, we put you away. Oh, yeah, I'll get the music cranked down a little bit low. I like my music loud, man. Days of doing house parties, going to house parties and knowing people that were DJs and stuff. Music nice and loud, jams going, everyone's happy, handling business. All right, let's see what we got here. As usual, I'm just going to be going down on the artwork and stuff. The art is flowing, and yeah. If you read inside the script on the description post, pretty much these cards are, and I'll flip them over. This is for the KAIJUS and COWBOYS award tier that some backers chose, and I'm actually doing the card fulfillment. And I have to admit, very happy. I'm glad to see that people have some creativity out there. They definitely are asking me to do some really cool, interesting things, and that's always a plus. I would like to say also that it's very interesting that I have done artwork for a few crowdfunding campaigns. So I've always been more of the artist who people would, reach out to and say, hey, Frank, would you like to do a piece of artwork for a reward tier, that kind of thing. And I'll say, sure, no problem. But I never was really hugely invested into the of being, really invested into being part of the campaign itself. It was more like, okay, once the campaign was over, then that person would contact me, and then they would say, okay, Frank, this is what we need. Or if I had already did some previous artwork, they would be like, okay, mail the piece to me and such, and then they would take care of everything. This time around was a lot different. This time around, the property, the project, the IP is one that I'm invested into. And this is KAIJUS and COWBOYS. And I'm working with Matthew Blair on this project, which has also been picked up by Second Sight Publishing, which we're definitely excited by, and looking forward to starting on the comic book pages and stuff for the 2022 release. So with that said, just it's been like a whirlwind. 2021 has been a whirlwind for both of us. I'm still continuously doing commissions and gigs and things like that, and art jobs. But then you add this on, and then we had the campaign, and it's just been just constant, which is a good thing. I always tell that when I entered the career field of being a commercial illustrator, one of the things one of my mentors once told me was that once you get into this field, you will get a strong understanding of that, what the term hustle means. It's a constant thing. It becomes second nature. It almost becomes like just as much as, breathing air, or, you needing water to survive. It becomes something where, you're constantly, I have business cards. My business cards are in my wallet. It's like second nature. You're sitting in a coffee shop. Someone looks over your shoulder. They see some artwork. Boom. Your conversation starts. You hand them your business card. So that level of mentality of maintaining the work schedule and stuff like that, the ethic and everything, that's something that's inbred. It's ingrained inside me. 30 plus years now. So with that said, yeah, I am excited. I'm excited by the fact of really putting a lot of my energy into the comic book series, and but also, in doing things like this, things like having these fans, these people who backed our project and who are coming with some fascinating ideas and approach. I mean, when you think of, when I first was thinking of when we did the card for this, which was also done by I have Karen's link in the description. So please, if you're interested in getting sketch cards done, please reach out to her, because they did a tremendous job. This is a 32 point. I believe it's called Blackline, but don't quote me on it. But it's a fantastic card. It's nice and thick, holds pencil, holds pen. I haven't tried any paint or anything on it, but I'm assuming it can do really well. It's a really thick stock. But just having people come and just say, hey, you know, this is what we want and such and such. But it's also kaijus and cowboys. So I think that I have a few that are more cowboy oriented, like this wonderful one with Godzilla as a cowboy. It's Clint Eastwood kind of character. But then I also have Servo here, and then just recently, someone just came up and told me they wanted to have a Yeti, but in the Kaiju and Cowboys universe. Now, again, when you're doing a sketch cards are 2.5 by 3.5 in size ratio. These are small. These are to be held in your hand. They are not large pieces. So the trick has always been, when I did work in the sketch card industry, was trying to get as much information into that card. I always treated sketch cards like storyboards. When I was doing storyboard work, I was sort of tweak my perspective on it, where I say, okay, think of this, Frank, as what am I trying to capture in that one scene, and I'm gonna try to get that onto the sketch card. So, clearly there are other, amazing, super talented sketch card artists out there that are just mind blowing. They're putting stuff in there that's just full on scenes. You're getting like the equivalent of something that could be the size of 11 by 17 reduced down to 2.5 by 3.5 ratio. And sometimes I don't even know if people really grasp that concept, because just the fact that someone being able to create artwork, a scene that big, but then reducing it down, I don't know, man. It's mind boggling. I'm still, and I started into sketch cards back in 2009. So it still blows my mind, the level of stuff that I'm seeing, and I'm very happy to see. I'm also happy to see that sketch cards are starting to really infiltrate. I won't say that. Is that harsh? Infiltrate? Yeah, I guess. No, I won't say. I don't know. I don't know the term. Maybe someone can comment into the post. Maybe a good word. But I'm saying that more like sketch cards are starting to get into the indie comic book market. So you're starting to see a lot of people who are doing campaigns where they're adding in part of their reward tiers sketch cards. And that really makes me happy, because that was one of the things that I was so like, I felt that was almost missing from the sketch card industry, was a sense of the connection of comic books, actual comic books, with sketch cards, just like comic books were back in the late 80s, maybe late 80s into the 90s and stuff, when they were doing the Fleer Ultra, you know what I mean? Ultra Pro, was it Ultra Pro? Or maybe it's Upper Deck. Trading cards and stuff, the X-Men stuff that they were putting out with comic books. That was fantastic. It was incredible. People, you literally were getting people who were collecting comic books as well as trading cards. And then I always was like, well, why aren't they doing the same thing with sketch cards? Put a sketch card into a pack with your comic book, and then boom, 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 you get somebody who's immediately goes, hey, look at this. This is original artwork. Boom. Okay, now I want to become a collector. But with that said, let me stop jabbing. It's time to get working on some artwork. And again, as always, thank you so much for watching my videos. You can also watch more of my videos on my YouTube channel, which is in the description as well. Me, if you've seen my stuff, I'm just a matter of fact kind of individual. I try to keep it as real as possible. You dig? So anyway, I'm gonna go with the Yeti first. Get the Yeti going. So my tools of the trade will be, I'm busting out my microns. I also have some Copics here too. Got my Copic packs as well. I'm one of those kind of artists where I'm all over the place with my tools and stuff, and I like to, in my chaos, I have order. As I try to tell myself over these years. But I understand the method of the madness. So anyway, here we go. So this person right here wanted a Yeti, and they wanted the Yeti to, let me push this up for you. They wanted a Yeti to be part of the Kaiju Cowboys universe. Well, the only thing I can think of is just a Yeti, pretty much, but clearly he's on an alien planet. And so I put like 2 worlds up in here. So here you go. I'm gonna get my ellipse. Elliptical, and then let's see, get in there, get a bigger one. And yeah, oh man, let's see. Got my white paper here to test my, sometimes with these microns, they can get a little iffy. I will say they're a lot better than back in the day with the rapidiographs. I don't know if many people remember rapidograph pens. what we used to call tech pens. They were the these pens where you could put ink into and stuff, and then you had to shake them. I think they had like a small little ball inside of the chamber, and oh man, they would get so clogged because the ink would just dry, and cleaning them was a nightmare. Yeah, rapidiographs. I used to have tons of sets of them. Got to be costly. Let's just say that, especially for a art student, struggling, working and stuff like that. So anyway, here we go. Now these sketch cards that were part of the fulfillment were going to be black and white, and then I was going to put some gray tone on it, which is pretty good. And so I ended up getting a total of 16 cards I had to do. Missing one person out of that. Trying to track them down so I can figure out what they want me to draw. I've learned a lot being on the other side of this and doing a crowdfunding. I think that many people, when they get into crowdfunding, they see the success of campaigns, but I don't know if they really have an idea of how much work you got to put into it. I mean, the hustle has to constant. It has to be a constant thing, and that not just the fact of the hard sell. It's more of the fact of the passion. People have to invest in the fact that you yourself are into what you're doing. That you're not just trying to do the hard sell. You almost sound like a car salesman who doesn't even believe in the actual product. They're just trying to do the sale. The thing is that me and Matthew, we're passionate. I know, are both passionate about KAIJUS and COWBOYS. Many people who knew me before when I was working on Robot God Akamatsu knew that I can drag an ear when it comes to talking about something. If I'm really into it, you get a Frankie B that's really into something, and I'm motivated. My mindset's like, I want to win, but not win in the sense of just like, oh, you win and you pat yourself on the back and give me the trophy, that kind of stuff. No, it's more the win of just challenging myself and, with my team. And I look at my team and I'm like, did you give 200%? Because I know I gave 200%. And then they say, yeah, I gave 200%. And we're all winners because we put in that 200% to take it as far as we could take it. And that's how I feel about KAIJUS and COWBOYS. That this is a journey for me and Matthew, and that this is something that two individuals, two creators, working on something that never existed, and now it's into existence. And now, can we keep it going? So I'm like I said, I can't even put in words how excited I am to work on the comic. And I've worked on a few different comic books. Mostly, I've just been called in to do short stories, and I don't mind that. That's fine. I think that those short stories, working on those small comic book projects and whatever for other people, has definitely helped invigorate that fire that I had when I was much younger into comic books. It definitely has, and it's taught me a few things and stuff about what I want to do, my art, and what kind of journey I want to have with this. Now I'm going to be switching. Now I'm going to my little tiny. This is 003 micron. This is really one of those great things for it doesn't act up. Now, I'll have to admit, I did a little, I jumped the gun on this. Usually what happens when I do my pencils is I go over my artwork with a kneaded eraser to try to knock back some of the lead residue. But this time I got so excited, I just went ahead. So it happens, Don't beat yourself up. I don't beat myself up about it. It just happens. I always say, Frank, you do better next time. Don't worry about it. All right, come on. It's always good. I always like to have a nice piece of white paper around, just to. Yeah, it was cool. He was just like, "Oh, just draw a Yeti." I was like, "A Yeti, huh? Okay." And to me, my first thought was, I just want to make something that's serene. He's just kind of like doing his own thing. He's on a cliff top and his hair's blowing in the wind and there's snow all around. And I'm gonna change up this pen. It's acting a little wonky. Let's try another one. But yeah, when I think of Yetis, I don't know. It's either like you either think of them in the sense of like they're trying to hurt somebody, or are they going to be these majestic, serene creatures, just kind of, just going out doing my thing, chilling. Yesterday, we actually watched a classic. I remember seeing as a kid in the movies was Beastmaster. Ah, God, I don't know. So weird, man. It was. I'm watching it with Jess, and it's just like, oh, God, it's so corny. Not to take away from it, but oh, it's one of those things where I sat there and I said, boy, I would love to see this redone over. And I think they had a TV show. I saw somewhere that they had a TV show. I never saw the TV show. But it didn't take away. It didn't take away from the magic I felt as a kid. When I remember seeing this movie, John Amos and stuff, I was like, oh man, this is so cool. This dude's talking to animals. It was like, but then I watch it now and there's so many like, it's definitely all over the place in storytelling. But again, there's a reason why it's a cult classic. So it's definitely one where, I still have high regards for it, for just the memories of being able to see it. It's one of my earliest movies that I saw as a kid. It's just so funny. I think it was PG 13. I don't know if it was PG-13 or PG, but yeah. I just remember the coolest thing for me was the eagle people, or those people, those creatures, whatever, that worship the eagles. I thought they were so cool. All right. All right. Well, and I'm not, I wonder how many other people, again, that are, I know I'm all over the place, that are doing sketch cards. I definitely want it to be something where it sort of catches on more so. It really is. It's amazing. There's a lot of tremendous artists that are doing incredible stuff with sketch cards. And I wanted to get back into it. I'm glad to see the indie market that people are doing it. It makes me really, really, really happy. I think that the concept of it is a really great concept of just being able to get original artwork that's much smaller, so that you can put them into binders. I know I have original pieces and I have them in my binders, and surprisingly, they can the value on some of these cards can be really costly. I mean, their prices can actually, in some degree, man, they can dwarf what full size artwork can be. It's really astounding. And I've gone back to my Micron one. For a while, I was just working on a bunch of. I had a successful auction on Saturday. It was really good, and I got rid of some. Fortunately, I won't say got rid of. That seems kind of harsh. I say like they found forever homes. My art, so more of my artwork has found forever homes. I'm very honored that some people like what I did with some sketch covers, and they end up going for it, and that's awesome. It's always that sense that I always say people, we all have choices, and people don't have to buy your stuff. There's no rule or whatever that someone has to be like, okay, I gotta buy my thing, no. So when someone does, I'm very honored by it, hoping that they will enjoy it as much as I enjoy drawing it. Oh, just looked up. Kevin West, yes. 7 years, man. Like I said, I always felt that with sketch cards, they needed they need something else. They needed something to draw them out further into the eyes of other collectors, mainly comic collectors. And I just I'm just hoping that, because we're starting to see more of them pop up in these crowd campaigns, that that we can see this renaissance maybe. Anything that keeps artists drawing. That's what I'm for. That's my key thing. All right. Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree, Kevin. Yep. An original piece of artwork. Can you imagine that, huh? Original piece of artwork, and it doesn't take up that much room. I mean, I gotta admit, I have a few like binders of sketch card art, and it's great, you know. And the styles are just so interesting and different, you know. I think that's always. I mean, and you pretty much can find a lot of different kind of genres in sketch cards. A lot of different ones. You know, for me, as you can imagine, I love robots, giant robots, and kaijus and stuff. So, when I've set out, I've gotten works that kind of artists that have done stuff like that for me in the past, and it's fantastic, great looking stuff. But I mean, you could definitely, if you're somebody who's into more realistic and stuff, and you know, particular actors or whatever, it's out there. There's people that do it, you know, and so you know that's what makes it really, really amazing. So we'll have to see. But also, it's going to take the sketch card industry too to be open as well to that kind of stuff. They also have to be open, but you know. That's true. That's true. I still have a lot of original pieces of art that are just like in my portfolios. You know, I just don't have the room in our our home right now. I just don't have the room. One day, I'm optimistic that one day I'll be able to take out my vast collection of stuff and be able to mount it properly. I do got a few pieces of artwork hanging out though. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, doing the back to the Kickstarter. I do. I see a lot of people that's doing Kickstarters, and I will definitely tell them that just make sure you do your homework. You know, make sure you do your homework and prepare yourself for really passionately um, putting the word out about what your project is about. Don't just I see it sometimes too. I see people that are posting and they'll just post, they'll talk about it, and they won't even have a link, which is mind boggling. They won't even have a link to their Kickstarter in it, which is very odd to me. You know, that is very strange to me because again, it's almost like trying to force people. You're the one you're asking people to back your project. So, but you're also asking them to do the extra work to try to find your project, and that's a no. Any person in business would tell you that no. Even when I worked in advertising and stuff, doing advertising, one of the things I learned was that, you're about trying to get the customer to say, hey, look what I got, you know. So you want to make it an easy kind of thing. So I would suggest that if you do happen to have a campaign, anytime you post, and this is that whole thing about being consistent. It's almost like don't look at it like this hard, arduous job or a thing that you got to do. Look at it as like, yeah, this is something that I'm passionate about, and so I'm doing it. It's just like breathing and, oxygen, drinking water or whatever. This is just part of it, you know. Show that campaign, that you want this campaign to survive. And for it to survive, well, you got to do what you got to do. And that means anytime you post, make sure you have a link in there. And make sure that you're expressing some ideas about what your project is and getting people jazzed about it. Talk about it. Make sure that you have enough images that help show a broader picture. I would say that I was looking at one thing about me is I'm one of those people where I believe in researching and stuff, and I love listening to different viewpoints and stuff. And I remember watching, well, not technically watching, off and on as I was drawing this YouTube, and they were talking about the sense of like some people who are seeing crowdfunders where, it's just a lot of covers, variant art and stuff like that, but you don't see interior pages. And so it's almost like, okay, look at the shiny thing here while trying to get your attention away from what the main course of the meal is. And the main course is that interior artwork. Interior artwork that the people who are going to be backing it need to see something. You got to be able to offer them something that's going to be a representation of what the product's going to be. So yeah, actually, Kevin, look at this guy. Richard Park actually is a backer, so this is his card. I'll be doing that one. He was very simple too. I like Richard because he was just like, yep. He just sent me a picture of him, so I had to kind of come up with something that I would think would be, fitting for a individual of his esteem, and he is. Richard Park is an amazing individual. He's definitely somebody fighting to get the word out, and definitely generous in offering his viewpoints on things, on how to get something done. Like I said, there's a wealth of there's different things out there, and that you have to, when you get into these, especially doing crowdfunding, you can't just get into just one form of just saying, okay, well, I got the answers and that's it kind of thing. You got to really be opening yourself up to, learning new stuff. So yeah, this process has definitely been a learning thing. So very happy, just happy. I'm just happy how everything turned out, and just looking forward to the next step. Well, let's see. Right back to the piece. A lot of line art here. Just doing a lot of you get these shaggy characters, a yeti, and I actually did research. I looked up looked at some various versions of it because I wanted to make it a little bit more different than the how Bigfoot is. But for me, I also have to remember that the person said that they wanted this yeti to sort of fit in the universe that we have. So I had to remind myself and go, Frank, how would you do a yeti? And this is how I would do a yeti. I actually love what's the character, Sasquatch from Alpha Flight. He was always my favorite character, man. Oh, and I always thought he was a great character. All right. So yeah, a little right on there. Okay. That's cool, man. Yeah, that Ultraman set. That's like that was such a joy to work on that. I think that's one of the reasons why I sort of took a step away from sketch cards when I was working on it. Was just that for me, I think that it's important that artists, you need to work on projects that are going to excite you and get you, jazzed to work on. You don't want it to eventually turn into something where you're just kind of like going through the motion. And I felt like after a while I was going through the motion with a lot of card sets. So I sort of stepped away from it and went back to what I was doing in advertising and other things. Because I just wasn't seeing, I had fun working on Voltron. I had fun working on Transformers. That was awesome. Yeah, but over a while, it just a lot of stuff just wasn't in my wheelbarrow, and that's okay. That's okay, I think that if you don't start enjoying it anymore, then you should step away from it. You don't want to stay too long into something, and then all of a sudden your work starts being affected by it. You just don't. I think that's why you got to do what's good for you. John Byrne is definitely one of my the individuals who inspires me. But again, the people who really inspire me on the top of my list, I always say is Jack Kirby, and then Herb Trimpe. Herb Trimpe. A lot of people don't give you don't hear much about Herb was an amazing individual. His artwork, his energy that he had, And then John Byrne. John Byrne would probably fall into the other side of it. I was a huge when his X-Men work, his run, but I loved his Fantastic Four run. So yeah, I'm definitely somebody inspired by the classic artists. Okay, let's see. All right, that's looking pretty good. Draw some little mountains and stuff in the back. Nice. I'll draw a little here. Let's get a little depth in there. I'm just happy that Richard was able to eventually get that Ultraman. Just happy that Ultraman. Another thing that's kind of blown my mind, I don't even know if fans are even grasping that idea that you're seeing Ultraman, even Godzilla and stuff like those kind of genre, the genre that I love. It's just in the last couple of years, they're just dropping. They're just coming out here in the West. And it's mind blowing, and that the fact that again you got an Ultraman card set, Ultraman animated show on Netflix, toys and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's really cool. It's a great time. Great time for the for those properties. Great time for the fandom. All right, so we're gonna hit a little bit of. And like I said before, this card stock is really good. Crack it up a little bit, like his fingers are dug into the ice. Yeah, I'm currently reading. A friend of mine ended up getting me the huge hardcover book of Werewolf by Night. I actually had the essential one, which is black and white, but they ended up getting me this full color one, and I'm reading that now, and it's just, oh man, it's just taking me back. Love it, love it, love it. Love Werewolf by Night. Love all that stuff. Tomb of Dracula, yeah. Marvel, they did a great thing. I mean, they literally can take so much stuff. Like they can do so much with these things. Dust these properties off. And I'm assuming that's what they're gonna be doing. A lot of these IPs. Dust them off, man. All right. That she does. She's been in the game for a minute too. All right. One down. One down, inking. There you go. This is. I tend to do like an assembly line kind of approach especially when I have a mass number of like cards to do. Everything turns into like an assembly line. Phase 1 pencils, phase 2 inks, and then phase 3 if it's gonna be marker, add the color and stuff like that. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna break out my Pentel. I went kind of old school. I brought out my brushes and pens too. I mean, excuse me, my brushes and my Sumi ink with the inkwell, and it was pretty cool. It felt really good. It's been a minute since I've used those, and yeah, I still got it. Again, using the Pentel brush print is just, again, as if you work if you have the life of a freelancer, commercial illustrator, it's all about speed. It's about time. You can't, when you're dealing with clients and stuff like that, this isn't, it's like something where you can't labor over for too long. Many times clients will be wanting stuff like, hey, boom, we need this like tomorrow. You got to crank through it. I say that's probably the greatest threat to any artist out there is really time, speed. Being able to find that good balance of just, you're producing quality work, but having the speed to accommodate the deadline. if you can master that, you got it. You're pretty much set. You got it. You won't have to worry about working. Yeah. Draw little hatches in the back. Thicken that line a little bit. One down. All right. Let's do a little hair. Make sure that nice bold enough line. Sorry about that noise. That noise is trash today. So they're coming to take care of the recycling and the trash. Crank the music a little bit, just a little. Got the jams. All right. I'll add some more like little white and stuff later, but let that dry a little bit. Who's the next one? You know what? Might as well go for Richard. Richard's funny, man. I love it. Like he was just like, "Hey, man, Frank, this is my picture. Go as is." I love that. One of the coolest things I'll tell anybody is that when a person commissions an artist and they have total like just saying, "Hey, look, go ahead, just go ahead and do what you got to do to make this amazing." That's wonderful. And again, they give you a basic idea, mind you. I'm not just saying you just fly off or whatever, but they truly want to see what the artist is going to come up with, and that's pretty cool. I love getting things like that. That's wonderful, because that forces me to kind of think outside my wheelhouse and be like, "Oh man, what am I going to do?" And that's what I did. I was sitting there thinking about Richard, and I said, "Man, this dude, he's the card man, I almost was gonna say something cheesy like the card master, but that seems a little too crazy. I don't want to do that to him. The card master, ugh. Yeah, even when I say it out loud, it goes, ugh, that sounds weird. But he's definitely somebody who understands the business and just understands the fact of working with artists and stuff and getting that product out there, So kudos to him, I think that's the thing. Karma is a wonderful thing, and I think that when you have people who are genuine about what they're doing and they're passionate, good things come. That's how it is. Good things will come to you. You don't go through all this craziness and whatever without something positive happening. Just the way you deal with it. All right, we're gonna have it like this weird design going in. Let's see. Oh, Richard. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with the 01. I don't know if I want to go too thick on that line with this starting off. Yeah, right. Now these small thinner ones, they can, you gotta be patient with them. One of the things I would say the pros of working when I started working with sketch cards is that it forced me. I felt it helped me to become a better artist, especially when it came to storyboarding. Like when I started, I could see the changes when I was working in advertising with storyboards, and boy, it was like when I started working and doing sketch cards, it was like a revelation. I felt so comfortable. And mind you, I was one of those people, I still have like artwork where it's like 11 by 17, big. And when I look at that artwork, it just seems so muddy. Oh, I mean, yeah, when it's big, I'm talking about my old stuff, because I'm one of those people who suffer from the sense of, you just keep putting too much in. You just too much. You just go, I gotta put something else in. Another artist that I don't talk about a lot, who heavily influenced me too, was George Perez. I mean, George would put so much stuff in there, and he made it work. And I was there was a point where I was getting in that frame of thinking where I was like, if George can put 12 panels on a page, I can put 12 panels on a page. And it just, when my work would get, ratioed down to fit the comic book ratio, it just, to me, I hated it. It just looked muddled together. You couldn't understand anything. And yeah, so I would actually say even before sketch cards came in, I remember looking on eBay, and during that time I was buying just a lot of artwork. I was going through my phase of just buying a lot of original artwork, and I forgot who the artist is, but he had put up a whole chunk of his pages for this comic book that he had worked on, and I think it was like published. It was published work, like from an actual publisher and stuff. And what I noticed about it that kept blowing my mind was that this person was drawing, like using a what is it, 11 by 17 comic book board, but he was putting like 2 pages. So think of it like 2 pages onto that 11 by 17. So he was drawing comic book, like illustrating at comic book size, but getting 2 pages of artwork onto, technically 1 page on one comic book board. And I sat there and I looked at that, and I said, okay, just on that thing. I love this artwork too, mind you. His artwork was phenomenal. I love the artwork, but just on that alone, I was like, this is pretty cool, I said, man, that's really cool. So I said, I gotta see this up close. So I ended up purchasing it, and a bunch of his artwork. And then now I don't have his artwork anymore. That's another story for another day. But I looked at it, studied it, and I said, man, this guy's he still captured a lot of it, and you're able to read everything, and everything's just flowing so well and stuff. And I said, I gotta try this. And so I would say that was probably the start of me just really getting really comfortable working smaller. I suppose it's almost like manga size too, I guess. But I just started getting really comfortable drawing much more smaller. I felt that drawing smaller helped me to almost control that side of me that doesn't know when to stop drawing. Now, you kind of see it now, like when I do my more larger pieces, those look pretty good, because I think that now I've been doing it for so long, I know when to stop and stuff. But most of those pieces that I do that are much bigger, they tend to be I treat them as static artwork. That's what they're just static pieces. They're like a one-off shot piece. They're just more like what you would call a if you do a cover or a pin-up or something like that. They're just a one-off. They don't scream a lot of sequential to me, like trying to do sequential art. But they serve their purpose. Or like when I did film stuff, it'd be like keyframes. It's like a keyframe. It's funny how psychologically it was so important for me. Like when I started getting getting sketch cards, it psychologically getting my mind wrapped around the fact of saying, okay, Frank, can you do smaller? What can you get in smaller? And for when I first got into it, I remember working with Fifinity Productions, Stephen Frank, and Steven's a cool guy too, by the way. Throw a shout out to him. He was the one who discovered me, actually. That's why I always tell people, like I see artists on Facebook. Most of the things, a big chunk of the work that I've gotten the last couple of years has all been based on Facebook, or like my Twitter thing or whatever. Somebody reaching out to me, and trust me, I've had a lot of people that reached out to me and they just didn't go anywhere, and that's fine. But it's those nuggets that pop up where somebody's on the reel, and most of and those turn out being big gigs too. Those are like gigs that turned into something that was like years I started working on. But yeah, he happened to see some stuff that I was doing on when I was doing on Facebook, just posting some of my work, and he reached out to me. Seemed like he was on the up and up, and I said, okay, what's going on? And I knew nothing about sketch cards. I was like, what are you talking about, man? At this point, I was really hardcore into advertising, and I'm like, yeah, I'm making great money here. What is this? What's going on, man? I was like expecting it to be some kind of, just some job, somebody just kind of just, spinning tails. But he was like, no, man, sketch card. I think you'd be really good for this. So I said, okay. And I think the first gig I did was for Fifinity Productions. I think it could have been Archie. I feel like he might have had Archie. It might have been Archie. And then the next one, I know that he eventually did have the Greatest American Hero. He had the IP for a little bit. And then from there, other stuff started coming. Like I think he established that deal with Moonstone Books, and then Zombies versus Cheerleaders. And then and graciously, I got to work on the first issue. So I got some artwork in the first issue of the comic. But yeah, that changed my life. And then I started seeing when I first got into sketch cards, I started seeing people, and they were seeing a lot of headshots, and I just was like, I don't know if I want to do headshots. I didn't, I didn't, for myself personally, I was really in that stage of just really challenging myself, seeing what else I can do. And then, lo and behold, I started seeing artists like Wok Lim and Roy Cover. And then, of course, I got to admit, Nar. Nar changed everything. When I saw Nar's work, Nar really elevated to a whole nother level. I've never seen anyone, so a few have come out that have been doing stuff, and they're tremendous. I'm not taking anything away from them, but boy, he brought another level of drawing to the game. And by this point, I think, when I came in 2009, Nar had already been doing stuff for, a couple of years, I think, in sketch cards. He had built up his name and stuff like that. But that level of work that he was doing was phenomenal. And it really inspired me. Like, I was like, because I felt like at first I was kind of holding back, and then when I saw it, I said, you know what? I'm going to kick it up a notch. And then you get, again, let me go back to Wok Lim, because I remember Wok Lim did, I forgot what card he did, but he had like multiple, like, I think it was a Marvel card. But he had multiple characters in there, man. It's crazy. And I was like, all right, I get my game up. And it became one of those things for me, because again, I'm one of those kind of artists where I when I look at other artists' work, it gets me excited. I get elevated. I see something that's different, unique, or I see artists approaching it from a different sort of temple that's really a temple. Excuse me, not temple, not like going to a temple, but a temple like in music, where they're taking it up a notch and whatever, and it really excites me. It doesn't like I never understood when artists get they feel very negative to another artist because of their work or whatever. I never felt that. When I used to do Artist Alley, I would always be like, man, I see somebody, and immediately I'm just like, I want to draw. This person's amazing. That's what they're doing. Oh, look what they do. Immediately, that's how my mind's working. It's like, oh, they're doing a great job, man. I got to see if I could try that or whatever, And the funny part was never like trying to copy somebody. My mind was never like copying, but just to see if I can push myself. If somebody happens to do stippling, a splatter effect, I'm going, oh, I try that. I see what you did, player, And then I get excited, and then I go, okay. So yeah, those are the crazy days, man. It was fun. It was really fun. Fifinity was cranking out a ton of stuff, and then others came. Others came. Regent, and then of course Upper Deck. I did a ton of Upper Deck cards. It's a fun time. Now, in the picture that Richard sent, I don't know if Richard is a hairy guy, but I just put like little hair on his I don't know if he's a hairy guy, but it was a cool picture, so I'm assuming that he's kind of like Wolverine-like. But yeah, I like that. All right. Oh man. Pick a card. See, it's the same jam going on. Excuse me for a second. I just want to get a little. I'm using. Oh, that's the wrong one. I can get the shuffle. I don't think I have the. All right. I think that's got shuffle on there. See if we can get the music going. All right. Once again, thank you, everyone who's coming by, who's watching this. These cards. Just a little recap. These are sketch cards, a fulfillment reward. These were sketch cards for the sketch card tier, reward tier, for KAIJUS and COWBOYS, which was a successful campaign that me and Matthew Blair had. And these are the people, the backers, the wonderful backers actually, who stepped up and they decided to go for some original artwork. And so I'm now working on some of that artwork right now. And it ended up being 16 people. So that was cool. 16 people. And I've done 15. So I'm still waiting on one person to get back to me so I can start working on theirs. But definitely a lesson learned with doing crowdfunding. I really suggest that before you just think about just jumping right into doing crowdfundings, please, please, please do your homework, do your research. Don't feel like you have all the answers just yet. Because the thing about it is, and this is my first time. This is actually my first time being on the other side, like actually being invested into the campaign. As I said before previously, people have brought me on to campaigns as a artist, as part of a reward tier, but I've never had to really deal with the fact of being somebody who's really invested in part of that campaign. And so it feels good, but it is, there's that part of me where I'm just like, I want to make sure people get their stuff, and I'm thinking those terms, like things have to get done, blah 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 blah. Make sure that that stuff looks good. So yeah, you definitely have to prepare yourself mentally for it, and prepare yourself for the hustle. You have to be passionate about it. I want to see more people when they do these campaigns to have that passion and hunger. So you let other people know how much you care about this project. I've noticed the people who do that, they're quite successful. They're very successful. They tend to blast right past whatever they're asking for. They blast right past it, and it shows. It shows because they're passionate about it, and they put it out there, and people see it, and they go, okay, I want to invest in that. I want to invest into whatever this thing is, because they're invested. Make that a little bigger. Popeye arms. All right. Do some little. And thanks again for coming by. Here, actually, I'll check some of the. I'll look over. I got my screen open over here on my right hand side. Kevin, man, I'll throw a couple of little lights on there. And thank you, Kevin, for hanging out, man. And 13 comments. What the? Let's see. I can't look at them all. That's okay. I'll check them out later. I'll definitely check them out later. Please chime in if you happen to be somebody who is trying to get into sketch cards or stuff like that. Please chime in and share your thoughts. Hopefully people are who might be seeing this may come in, and if you're just somebody who's never done sketch cards or whatever, then you might be able to connect and learn. Please ask questions. I usually start answering stuff after I complete the draw, because one of the things that I believe in, and I don't know, it's just my old school belief system, is that doing artwork, just like anything, just like writing, you need to be able to devote your energies toward doing it, to do it well. It's not something where it's just like you're just cranking out, like it's like I don't know, like if I was just rolling out loaves of bread. Loaves of bread is something that are just like you're constantly doing. It's the same kind of thing. You make sure you got your recipe right, and it's just like, okay, we're just going through the motion, we're pumping them out. Art, just like writing, is unique to itself, and so you need to be able to devote your energies, your creative energies, to doing the best you can. And it's really hard, man. It's really hard if your attention isn't on it. That's why when I was doing shows, I was so fortunate to have Jess there, because she, I could talk with anybody and start talking about all kind of weird fan stuff and whatever, and I get all jazz. But then she would be like, the point of reason being like, okay, Frank, you got these commissions you got to do, and you need that. Because I'll be honest, as any customer out there, customer can sit there and they can have laughs with you, but the key thing that you have to remember that customer is there because they want something from you, and that they're to be able to expecting you to be able to follow through with what you say you're going to do. So you have to remember that you have to follow through. You have to make sure that, all right, there you go. I hit the wrong thing, so it's just started just replaying the same thing over. You have to remember that you have to follow through. So that's that whole saying where you got to get the job done. One of my teachers who I had the joy of working with on out in the professional field too. Even at times when we would get hit with heavy deadlines for a gig, and I mean heavy deadlines. I'm saying like, boom, we need this out. We gotta get this out there. At the time, it would be like FedEx, and then eventually computers and stuff helped. But yeah, if you gotta get something out, someone's gotta fly to a city or someplace. With the creative package, the team, and everything. There's no like sitting there and hey buddy, that kind of playing around. It's about, no, you got to get this done. And even when I would be like, oh man, I'm so done, my teacher would look at me and he'd be like, Frank, you get your cup of coffee, you go out, you go get some air and get it done. And I swear, anytime that thought creeps in my head where I feel like I'm going to complain about something, especially when it's a gig or something, it's like I hear his voice and it's like, get it done. Get it done. Don't complain. Get it done. Complaining doesn't fix anything. Complaining doesn't get the job. It won't get that finished. And what'll happen in most cases is that it's just gonna make you look really bad in the eyes of the person that's hired you to do the gig, and in some degree in the eyes of your peers. Because they're suffering too. I've always believed in the sense of the team mentality, and everyone on the team's suffering. If you think in that term, you go, yeah, everyone's on the team suffering. We're all tired. We all wanna, want this to be over. But the only way it's gonna get over if we all do our parts to ensure that it's over. There has to be a team kind of mentality in that. So my point is, I'm starting to ramble, is that you just have to remember that, and I always bear that to mind, is when you're dealing with business, and it is business, when you're starting to talk about someone's transferring money or anything like that, this is business. This isn't just you're just hanging with your buddies and whatever and having a good old time or whatever. No, this is, you're dealing with strangers, and strangers have paid you and whatever. You have to follow through. And if something comes in the way and whatever, and it's beyond your control, then that's you can definitely be able to communicate, and hopefully your communication is strong with your client, that you built up a strong enough kind of communication and that kind of thing. Then that's great. But it just can't be something that you always having these kind of things pop up, because that's not going to work. In most cases, the person's going to be like, well, I need to maybe find somebody who's not going to be so prone for these kind of things. These are just things where I remember people told me when I first was starting out, and they kept it very real, and I really respect that. What it did was it opened my mind to the level of what professional means. Being a professional is something that just not just words. It just can't be like these simple words and you say, oh yeah, boom, I'm a professional. No, it's an ethic that you have. It's a lifestyle almost, where you just go, okay. That means you carry yourself in a way where you say, regardless of what, I know I stand by what I do. I'll tell any artist out there, your rep has to mean something. And when I say artists, again, I'm saying for every creative out there in the industry, writers, everybody, production, anybody that's working in the creative kind of field. Overall, this is something to be said for any kind of business. But just because I'm an artist and stuff like that, I say wholeheartedly that really think about your reputation. That's a very important thing, because that's going to probably be the thing that ensures your longevity in the art industry. And I'm not saying that you have to be someone who's a pushover, because I don't think there's a lot of pros out there. They're not pushovers, trust me. It's just that people respect them. They respect them. They respect the fact of their expertise. They expect the fact that they know that if they hand an assignment over to this individual, this person is not a copy machine. They're not going to be constantly asking questions about what's this, what's that. They're like somebody that you can trust to be like, they get the job done. And in most cases, they'll get the job done and they'll take it a step further. They'll come back with something that'll totally blow the mind of the client. The client's like, oh my God, it wasn't even, yeah, but I kind of expected this because I've been working with this person for X amount of years and blah, 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 blah. So that's what you want. So think about your rep. Think about your reputation. Be mindful of it. That's all. Doesn't mean you're lesser than or anything like that. All right. I think that looks like I got 2 down. Man, this card stock is really good. Whew. It's a really nice card stock. I actually got hit on to this card stock. Another shout out is to Mike James, who is doing the Artist United cards. And yeah, I actually, because I'd worked on, well, actually I purchased some, I purchased some from him, and I was like, man, this card stock is on point. And so he was like, yeah, Karen does this. And I said, okay, all right. And, and again, this goes right back to the whole thing where my other little words of advice: learn to talk to people. Don't be afraid to ask for help or ask questions from people. And I mean, really genuine questions. I mean, you know it's going to be genuine, And I mean, like when you're coming at somebody and you're like, hey, do you know where you got this card from or whatever? That's genuine, not just something where it's like you're asking someone a question and whatever, and then you already have built up your own answer already. So it's kind of pointless. That's almost like you don't want to waste somebody's time. When I was starting out and stuff, yeah, I sat there and I listened to people and stuff like that. And most times the stuff that I was getting hit to was very coarse. It wasn't like they were sitting there trying to be ginger with me, because and I look back at it, it was really them bracing me for things to come, because the way the industry I was going into, and which was mostly into advertising and stuff, it's just like the adults are in the house. There's none of this like emotional kind of thing. It's like you get the job done, or we just won't call you. It's simple. It's simple as that. There's no anything. It's just you won't work, And so I was like, okay, I can understand that. I'm one of those people where I understand stuff when it's just straightforward. It's like, okay, it's not about who's gonna be your buddy or your friend or anything like that. No, it's about we hiring you because we like your work, and we like the fact that you crush the deadlines, and the art directors, you're able to talk to you. They tell you what to do. Like they can send you an email or something, and then you get it, and you make sure it's done, and that's it. Not difficult, right? So that's the kind of stuff that I was going through when I was starting out and stuff. So my mindset's on that level of stuff, All right. On another note, we actually We watched Beastmaster yesterday, and then we actually watched another one a film I hadn't seen in a long time. Slivers? No, no, not Slivers. Splinters. Excuse me, Splinters. It's one of those weird movies that came out that pretty much they don't explain too much, which is kind of cool sometimes. They don't have to explain everything, but they leave it open. There was what was that movie? Oh God, what was that? Ruins. I think it was Ruins about the plants. It was like some plant or something that was like human eating or something. Almost reminded me of Day of the Triffids. I don't know if too many people remember that classic. That's amazing. Day of the Triffids is amazing. Amazing, amazing film. Again, I sit there and I go, man, why is that not getting done? Of all those, like, why doesn't Hollywood just grab movies that were like sort of mediocre? Although I'm not saying Day of the Triffids was mediocre by no means, but I'm just saying like other movies too. Like Roger Corman's Humanoids of the Deep. That was a classic. Love that movie. Dust it off, see what you can see what someone can come up. It's unfortunate because then I stopped. Now I gotta catch myself because they did try to do that with Piranha, and it's a tough one. I love the original Piranha. Let me just say that. I love the original Piranha. Sticking to my thing about not throwing shade because I understand that everyone has their own flavors, but I love the original Piranha movie and the from the 70s. I think it was from the 70s. And then what was the other one? The flying piranha fish. I like that one too. I thought that was cool. But yeah. All right. Yes, I agree. I agree with you, Kevin. It's is that Kevin? There's another Kevin. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? I can barely. I'm looking up. I'm actually taping this using my iPhone and stuff. So I look up occasionally. So hey, welcome. Yeah. I would tell any people out there is that, and I know that fans once they want to engage artists and stuff like that. I totally get it. But also there's that question that still lingers. I go, well, it's either you got either or. You have your long moments talking to this artist or writer or whoever it is who you really enjoy, and they just don't have the time to work on more of what you like, or do you afford them the time so that they have to work and understand that and just respect it and say, hey, look, they got to work on their stuff, like I'd rather I'd rather have an artist or writer working on their stuff so I can appreciate more of their stuff. I don't need to have the need to keep chatting them up and stuff like that. I'm one of the people who I remember cons and shows back in the day, and I enjoyed the fact of it was an event where you got to see somebody who you really admire. I remember meeting John Ritter Jr. earlier on in his career, man. It was at a Boston show, and it was wild. Like he was just sitting down. He was got in tremendous shape too. Oh man. Worked out, man. Definitely lifted. I was really into learning about getting into bodybuilding and stuff like that. He definitely was somebody who lived, but just the coolest guy, man. And yeah, and it was really cool. It was one of those things where he didn't have any what's those guys, handlers? Yeah, no handlers around. He was just some dude just sitting in a chair. I went over to talk to him, and it was really cool. I was just like, man, you gotta be like your work and stuff like that. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, total, young artist. Same thing too. I had the same effect when I was talking with Kevin Eastman. Kevin Eastman was really cool. Yeah, I got to meet a couple of pretty well-known artists back in their early days. Mike Mignola, I remember in New York, met him at a show. Saw Jim Lee briefly, bumped into him massively. He was walking. I don't know. He was walking to one of his to do some signings and stuff, and bumped into him. And then I joked. I was like, "Hey Jim, how you doing? Can I get something signed?" And he pointed to this long friggin' line, and I said, "Okay, guess I won't be getting nothing signed." And so him, but Mike Mignola was really cool. He gave me some advice, and then Joe Kubert topped it. I mean, that guy put his he was like fatherly, man. I remember he stood up. He was standing up, and I went over to him and talked to him. I said, "Oh, Jay," and he looked at my stuff. And he said, yeah, he said, I can see you got some stuff going on here, that kind of thing. But he was very put his arm around my shoulders and stuff. He's like a dad kind of, You know, like, all right, kid, you know, just keep hanging in there and don't get like. And I think I was at art school at the time. I think this when I was in art school. So I went to art school in 1988, graduated in 91. So it had to be in between, like maybe 90 or something. There was a show in New York. I want to say that. But yeah, I just felt like it was that very like fatherly kind of like, hey, it was really cool, man. All right, two down. I haven't added the whites in yet, so. All right, here's the next one. Let's see which one we're gonna go for. Oh, I gotta go for Godzilla. This is I'm gonna say it wrong. Heisei, Godzilla, Cowboy. I should be able to say these better, but you know, it happens, man. So this one was fun. Again, this is one of those things where you have somebody come along and they just was like, "Yo, man, could you do Godzilla?" But he's like, you know, he's like a cowboy kind of thing or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, and so I just, again, staying in the because I guess they you know, I've been doing some videos talking about kaijus and cowboys and how I said Clint Eastwood. And yeah, I mean, I love some of the classic, you know, the spaghetti westerns, and Clint Eastwood, Lee Van Cleef, a couple other cats too. I can't think of the names right now, but they represented to me that kind of like, I don't know, man, very the best way I can describe it, like dirty, down and dirty looking, like gunslinger kind of thing. They weren't clean. They weren't like clean or anything. They just looked sweaty, hot all the time, but they just looked incredible. So anyway, I was heavily influenced in creating the bot with no name off of Clint Eastwood. You know, and just do some dreadlocks on him and stuff. So anyway, this one is another backer, and these cards before, again, quick little recap. These are from backers who backers of the reward tiers that were part of the KAIJUS and Cowboys campaign, and I'm doing the fulfillment of the sketch cards. And there were 16 of them, and I'm down to 15, and I'm still waiting on one person. So if you're watching this, please contact me. I've sent out a couple of emails. That's always a tough thing too. It's like as part of this thing when you're doing crowdfunding, you got to deal with these kind of things that pop up. Like you send emails to people, and you know you're not hearing anything, and then you're just like, well, what do I do? And you know, so you sort of on pins and needles, man. You're trying to just be like, oh man, I hope this person can move or whatever. And there's all these different things that play into it, because you're literally being a I don't know. I guess you're like a store. I guess, you know, it is business, but you're like a store now, and you're like, okay, I got to try to get these fulfillments done. I tend to get more business minded. Like just the level of seriousness enhances when, especially when you're dealing with someone's money or whatever. There's always going to be mistakes, though. I mean, we're all human, and so the thing is that you have to be there and prepared for if anything happens. You know that at least you have to make sure that you did your best to accommodate the person, and hopefully, you know, they'll be cool about it. You know, but it all comes down to communication too, and that's one thing about me. I will communicate with you. I'm not gonna shy away from it. There's no need to. I'm not gonna. I always think that's so weird when you hear stories about people and they're just kind of like, well, I haven't heard from the person, and they just vanish. And it's like, whoa, what is that? What are you doing? Why? You can't do that. It's like I always think of like, what if like you had a complaint with Walmart and all of a sudden they just vanish. 1 minute you're driving by the store, next thing you're doing, the store's gone. They're like, I'm out. That's weird, man. No, I suggest that you regardless of what, even as painful as it must be, you feel it may be painful, you're gonna have to do it, because you've taken you had a smile on your face when you took that person's money. Now you're gonna have to keep that smile, even if you got to deal with them if things turn south. Think of it in that terms. You know, if you're smiling when you take their money, then you got to smile if things you know, get a little iffy, and hopefully you can work things out, and then you keep on doing what you're doing. It's all part of it. All right. Awesome, Kevin, man. Thanks for coming by, man. Appreciate it. I'll definitely be uploading this video onto my YouTube channel too as well, so you guys can you watch anytime you want. Check it out. Like I said, I'm always on it to people who are even like hanging around just to watch it. It trips me out, man. I usually, because I'm working on art and stuff, I can't just be watching so much things like right when they're live, so I tend to check them out. Well, listen to them technically as I'm working on artwork, like the next day or something. So, you know. All right, let's go for the smaller one because I'm gonna do those nice teeth. Godzilla as a gunslinger. It's a cool concept. I think it's probably other people have had that idea already, so I won't claim that. It's kind of trippy just to think about how kaijus have kind of gotten into the psyche of the Western market. It's really trippy, man. In a good way. I hope many fans understand that. I always say, people ask me, they'll be like, "Well, how do you feel about something?" And I'm like, "I'm happy." You don't get it. I can't tell if either it's a generational thing or age, because I remember when Hollywood laughed at these kind of properties, these IPs. I think, and many people in my age group, I'm gonna be turning 51 in a few months, and so I think that a lot of us who grew up at that time, where we saw how Hollywood looked at a lot of these properties, comic book movies, and just these kind of kaijus and things like that, they looked at these as a joke. These were joke things, man. Like, you couldn't. There's no way you would never been able to touch anything. So I look at this and I go, man, the luxury. Imagine a luxury where it's just kind of like you don't have to have gone through any of that. They're just there in front of you. Like the fact of, we also went back and started watching a lot of it's been a couple of weeks though. We were watching in one sitting, but the MCU, the phase 4 leading to phase 4 and stuff. Well, actually not phase 4, leading to phase 5. And it's just like, it blows my mind. I've lived through that. And so I can respect that. So if someone asks me, how do I feel? I feel freaking, it's amazing. It's amazing right now. I can't sit here and judge that. How can I judge that when because I've lived through the times when they laughed at this stuff? How can anyone that has experienced that, of how they looked at these IPs and were like, "What, are you kidding me?" They would look at this and be like, "Godzilla, really? Huh? I don't know. What are you talking about? Iron Man? What are you nuts?" They laughed at these properties, and now that they embrace them, I'm gonna try to gut them apart. No, I can't do. Not me. I can't do it. I couldn't even be able to look in the mirror if I did that. It would go against anything that I believe in. I especially as a indie creator. I mean, jeez. The whole idea of what these IPs are and stuff like that, on the basis alone that they own these IPs. Now, my view on how the companies their practices are, that's a totally different thing. That's just something where it's like having your eyes wide open. When I look at Disney, trust me, I know that Disney's not the greatest of places of the things that they've done and stuff through the past and currently or whatever. But with that said, you either people are going to not buy into their stuff, or they continue to. So that's a choice matter. That's an individual choice matter. They do fall on the lines of what our country is about, and it's capitalism. Even though sometimes capitalism is ugly, it's unfortunate. I wish it didn't have to be. But it is. I can't go around and force a company to not do something. So I say, you know what? Why don't we just start creating your own stuff? So now you can become a new company and you can do more different things and then hopefully challenge that. I'm very happy to see that the indie market, which has never gone anywhere, by people talk about it's always been here, and it will always be here. There always will be creators. There always will be individuals out there who want to have something that is different than what's the mainstream is offering, and that's good. It should be. All right, let me get back to the drawing. I know I go off on my little rants and stuff. It's just the thing about it is that I lived a life where I've literally sometimes I have to catch my breath sometimes and just take an idea that man I've lived through telephones in this, you had to run to a telephone down the block to get a phone call, or like landlines. I've lived through 8-track tapes, 45s, Sony Walkmans, you know, pagers. It's crazy, man. It's wild. So yeah, I tell you, but I'm the worst person. I usually don't even say anything because there's nothing I can say. Nothing I can say on that. Please make more Godzilla movies, please. The more Godzilla movies you make, it helps guys like myself, me and Matthew, who are doing these kind of kaiju related kind of genre. Please continue. Please do not stop. Please. As soon as you stop, it hurts us. I say that for the indies out there, you have to learn the first rule of any kind of business, even in marketing and stuff like that, is that you need to capitalize on stuff when it's going hot. Capitalize on it. Don't sit around, don't wait, don't complain. Just capitalize on it and do your own thing. Make your own magic. All right. I can't believe it's freaking cranking, huh? All right. Oh, my screen just shut off. Oh, okay, I'm gonna take a little swig. I need some juice. All right. Gotta go conference time. Kevin, all right. Yeah, there's a couple of Kevins in there. Look at that. I love it. You guys are coming in strong. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody for, just being out there, man, and just staying creative and staying positive. Surprisingly, as I grow older, I actually want to be able. I'm excited. Excuse me, not even want. Excited by the creativity coming up from the newer artists and stuff like that. I think it's important. Like, I think it's the funniest thing that now in my head where I'm thinking those kind of thoughts where I go, man, are there going to still be artists out there who are going to still try to hold on to the youngsters who are holding on to the traditional kind of thing? Digital's cool, and I'm not trying to throw shade on digital, but I think it's important that we still have traditional artists who are capable of drawing on paper, wood, metal, tactile things, stuff that's that you can physically touch. I think it's important that we have sculptors. As much as there's digital, we need to still have people that can take sculpting in their hands and make magic. We need that. Our society needs that. I think that's important. So for me, that's what that excites me. If we still have that next generation, we can look at it and appreciate it and go, okay, I'm gonna do this, and I feel hopeful. They're out there. When I was young, I look at a lot of the old school art, and I used to read a lot of old school artwork and stuff, and stories. That inspired me. Oh, all right. Looking good. Godzilla. Yeah, I can't wait to see that new Godzilla on Singular Point. I guess it just came on and stuff. It is what it is, As I said in my earlier rant, I'm just happy. I'm just happy that that as a kid I was watching Creature Level feature and I saw a man in a suit, a couple of men in suits battling one another in a cityscape that's that's made of models. I mean, it's just that is still going on, and that the technology today has elevated it. It's trippy, man. I'm just happy. That makes me happy. I have no complaints for any of it. All right. All right. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody, if you're an artist, you're out there drawing, and really push yourself. Just like anything, it's just like working out. Having to up our my workout game. Actually, not even my workout game because we've been doing pretty good, but I'm doing a little shift and stuff with my food, my caloric intake, playing around. Sometimes we all reach plateaus and stuff, and I'm trying to play around with some different things. We both are, actually, me and Jess. So, again, that's the whole thing. Don't get complacent. I said that the ultimate thing that the downfall, actually not the downfall, the threat to the creative person is complacency. They just get stuck with that one thing, and they go, well, that's what people just want. I'm just gonna do this one thing, and that's it. And then eventually, what happens is, as time goes by, and you haven't readapted yourself or readjusted, not even readapted, but readjusted yourself to maybe push yourself a little further. Then all of a sudden, the world goes by you. There's many artists that missed out just because they didn't want to learn anything about computers. I don't throw shade on computers. I see them as another tool. My only thing is that as much as the computers exist, I still want to see traditional art too. I think it has its point. It has its place. I think as a collector, I think it's important that that original artwork still exists. Ideally, if you're doing comics and stuff like that, yeah, there's collectors out there. Especially, let's say hypothetically, because we never know. Let's say if your book is a hit. Now you got collectors coming along going, hey, look, man, you want to get some pages and whatever. And now they can't purchase your page because guess what? Your whole book's digitally. And now are you going to have the time? Are you going to try to redraw these wonderful pages? I doubt it, And people will say, oh, you can just print it out and have somebody ink it. That's not the same thing, though. The whole thing about original artwork, and I own some original artwork, and I used to have a lot more, is that you're buying a part of, how can I say this? The part of that artist, whoever that is, male or female, who was working on that particular piece. Especially if it's like one of those older pieces, man, which I love, is when you see they take down the word balloons and the tapes all like that brown old, and then you may go across the page and you see like a coffee stain or some food mark left there. There's a story there. That's what you're paying into. When a collector purchases original artwork, they're buying into that story. They own that story right there. That part of that artist, You get an Alex Ross piece, will you maybe possibly find some hairs from the brush into that artwork and his painting? Maybe. I don't think I can see the hairs if it's just a print. And again, there's people who like prints and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that there has to be a balance. I don't want to see original traditional artwork go the way of the dodo bird, I don't. I want to still be able to see collectors be able to get and appreciate original artwork. And I want to see artists challenge themselves too. Another thing about original artwork is that having the human hand applied onto something, you can see the faults in it, like right here, my line weights and stuff like that. It's not just one consistent thing. Now, I've seen some beautifully rendered books that have been done digitally, beautifully rendered. It's still in that beauty. There's a part of me where I look at it and I go, there's something lifeless about it. It's almost like seeing something where the difference between going to the supermarket and getting a loaf of bread that's in a package as compared to going to an actual bakery and you're getting an actual loaf of bread that just was made and it's not as it's maybe not as pretty, as perfect as something that you get in a store that was created by a machine and put on an assembly line, and and all that stuff. It could be the same thing, still bread, but something about that bread made that by that baker's hands on it, and their skill, their knowledge applied to it. Something magical about that. I can appreciate that. And that would be the collector side of me talking. Because I don't know any collector out there who doesn't just that to be able to have that, to have that man, to have that original piece of art where you're sitting there going, yeah, man, this person, man, hairs on this, man. You see this piece? Literally hairs in it. All right, let's see. Such a big screen too. I'm trying to push it up a little more. Let's see. So I've already done. Let's see. I've done 2 already. So now I'm on my. Once this is done, I have 1 more, and I'll probably call it. Close it down a little bit. There has to be a certain level of confidence as an artist, or just even as a writer too. You got to be able to trust your skills. Don't be afraid. Take the leap of faith. See what happens. Don't get too bogged down on trying to get perfection. What is perfection? I don't know what perfection is. I draw. I'm not trying to do perfection. I'm just drawing what I like, man. It'll come together. But don't beat yourself up about it. You'll get there. You'll get to a place where, eventually you'll be comfortable with it, and you crank out the kind of work you want to crank out. And hopefully, the people who see it will appreciate it. And even if they don't, you just okay. That's all right. It's fine. It's okay. Nothing in the world. I'll just keep doing my thing, man. One of the things about it is I learned a long time ago is that I'm honored by the fact that people who enjoy my work, but still I have my own inner cheerleader squad going on, and not in an arrogant way, but it's just a way where I stay true to my voice, and I go, well, this is my voice, and and if you dig it, then that's cool. That's thank you very much, but I have to stay true to my voice. And that's the thing I want to see from many artists out there too. I want to hear your voice. I don't want to hear you being a clone of somebody else. And it's unfortunate because there's, again, a lot of these companies too. You get people who love various artists out there in the past, and then all of a sudden they want to pass on this horrible practice of just trying to get people to turn into clones of these artists that they admire. So many people trying to be a Jim Lee or whatever. It's like, if you want a Jim Lee, then why not hire Jim Lee? Don't put some artist who's finding their voice and their uniqueness, and then you're trying to almost destroy that by having them trying to emulate another artist's style. That's horrible. That's not good. All right. I'd like to thank everybody for still hanging around, listening to the rants of the mad artist. Am I mad? No, I'm not mad. No. I just the thing about me is that and people who know me and stuff is that I'm just one of those cats where I would just hang out with people, man, and we would trust me. Don't get me wrong. You catch me when I'm in my crazy moments, man, and we're just laughing and get having a great old time, man. But also, I used to get into these talks with my buds, man, We talk all kind of crazy stuff, man, and we be real, man. That's one thing that I appreciated. There's a point where people could just be real and they'd be like, yeah, man, yep, I went through this, and this, you know. Yep, remember when there wasn't heat in the house and food on the table and stuff like that, but nevertheless, you know, I can still be a decent human being. I can be a decent, you know, I'm not going to sit here and blame people or blame somebody else for my woes, you know, and that I know that if I put out enough positive energy, that energy is going to go out there and reconnect with really good, you know, souls out there. You know, that's who I am. You know, I'd rather be around positive people, people that are doing stuff. That motivates me. You know, I say everyone has their own level of agenda. Like they go, well, what's your agenda? You know, it's not a mean thing to say, but I just think it's just a fair thing to say. I think everyone has an agenda, but the thing is like, what do you want to get out of it? Like if you meet somebody, you know, I want to feel like I'm gonna learn something and hopefully connect on a person in a way where we can talk and communicate, but also something that can challenge you too. You know? All right, Godzilla. Yeah, Godzilla on a roll, man. I'm gonna just put it out here right now. I am loving the Loki show. After watching, we finished. Actually, again, we watched a lot of stuff, man. Well, that's what I do. Me and Jess, we kind of, boy, our schedules are so wild. It's like Sunday's usually the day off. That was a promise I made to her. It's a promise I made to myself. Where regardless of what, I take Sundays off, and that's a day where we just kind of recharge our batteries and stuff. And so we've been watching the Marvel MCU movies and stuff like that, and just it was crazy rewatching like you know Endgame and stuff and the time travel thing. And it was crazy. And then we love the Loki show. So just seeing like all these different things that they're doing is just you don't want to think too hard about it though. Sometimes you have to, you know, just be sitting there laughing and just remind myself that this is all fantasy, right? It's just fantasy. It's like comic books. Don't think too deep about it, man. You know, these characters, they're not real characters. So, and ideally, I don't want them to. I want comic books. When I was reading comic books as a kid, they were fantastical. They were sheer escapism into these countless worlds and stuff like that. You know, and it was fun, and it was, you know, there was no rules, and it just was just, you know, it was what made me be a collector of comics, and also, you know, eventually choosing a career path to be an artist, a professional artist. And so, you know, now we have a time where I think sometimes it's too much evaluation. It feels almost like college, like you're sitting there and somebody's giving you a term paper and it's like, okay, can you please evaluate why the time? And then you start getting into this long, and it's like, man, where's the fun at? Why can't we just have characters traveling through time and stuff and fight weird things, man? Why not? Why can't that just be it? You know, that's the kind of stuff. That's the stuff that really excited me as a kid. All right. Hey everybody, you guys still there? Come on, are you still there? Let me know. Let me know. Leave a comment. Say what's up. I like to hear from you. I do. I truly do. I'm not just saying it. I really do. When I grew up in Boston and stuff, one of the things that people knew me for was I'd talk to anybody, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just one of those people where immediately I just be shooting. It's not shooting. Let me just rephrase that. No, I wasn't that kind of cat. But you know, I would chat, talk up with people and stuff like that. I remember days when I was doing security, man, and I'd be on the Orange Line late at night, man, and I remember cats would be freestyling on the train. Those are the memories sometimes that kind of bounce in my mind these days. Just the days of being on the Orange Line, and it's just the people that you would, you know, see and stuff, and it was fascinating. It was really interesting and stuff. We talk about the level of humanity and brotherhood and sisterhood and stuff like that, and it was. It was an incredible time. And it was scary moments too, but I've always been a person where I don't allow myself to um, allow fear to sort of incapacitate me, my mindset. Surprisingly, it's what got me to climb a mountain and to do mostly all the stuff that I've done. I mean, my viewpoint on getting work as an artist and just knocking on doors and stuff like that when people were like, "What are you doing? Are you nuts?" And I just was like, "I don't care. I take chances." It's always been something inside of me. Didn't work so well too when I was a kid. I mean, I got scars, bumps and stuff when I used to ride my bike and little mischievous things I would get into. So that can work two different ways too. I'm just glad that I'm still here, knock on wood, still breathing and alive. Jeez. But yeah. It's like, what's life, man? You gotta don't let fear stop you from, getting out there and just living. I think sometimes people, and again, no one ever likes to be told that they're being afraid of something. But we all have fear, you and we all handle it differently. And I knew for myself, I never wanted fear to be something where it just stops me from something. I mean, even when we did the Kickstarter campaign, I wasn't approaching it from like, oh yeah, we got this, whatever. I'll be honest with you. I was just like, I told Matthew, I said, hey man, I said, we just got to see. And I said, my mindset is if we can just get through a milestone after another. And that's where I kept it. And I think we did an interview. We did a lot of different things. Did some interviews and stuff. And I kind of stated that, I didn't want the person to think, like the person asked me, I said, well, were you super nervous? And I was like, well, not really. I said the thing about it was because we had already had talked and sort of established a game plan. And I think that when you do that and you have a solid game plan, then whatever nerves you have, they shouldn't be to the point where it's almost like, oh, I can't function. I can't. Oh my God, you're so like frightened and whatever. I don't even think I even looked at when it was actually when the campaign was going on. I didn't even bother looking too much at it. Like some people just check to see where things moved and stuff. I didn't even do that. I would hear from Jessica come and she'll be like, hey, Frank, it's something, this day is like this and whatever. And I was like, oh, wow, really? Well, okay, that's cool. And then I would probably do a post about it. But not, I reiterate, it's like, it wasn't a sense of arrogance. It's just that I was confident because we had sat down and we began strategizing how we were going to go out there and do what we we're going to do. And I say that wholeheartedly as someone who's worked in advertising, is that you have to approach these things with a game plan. Please don't just think that that you're just going to do this and then miraculously people are going to just pay you or whatever or buy into your thing. Big time companies spend companies spend a lot of money, millions upon millions of dollars to ad agencies to do this stuff. There's a reason why they do this. It is not easy. And the thing is that clearly you don't have millions of dollars. I don't have millions of dollars. I don't have $1 million. And so the thing is that how do you achieve your endeavor? Well, you have to be tactical. You have to approach it as if you're playing chess. And then the thing is that you have to be able to look at every avenue that you can. And that avenue is about communicating and talking to other people, strengthening numbers. One of the cool things, actually, I'll add is that Matthew did something that I didn't even know at first. He told me later, during the campaign, excuse me, that he did this kind of thing where it was like a cross promotion with this other campaign that was doing their own kaiju book, and that worked out really well, and that's I ended up buying into their campaign too. But again, stuff like that, cross promotion. How many people think about that? I see sometimes many artists who get locked into their own little world, or they get into like their own little group of people, and they don't want to reach out. They don't even want to talk or engage other people who might be doing something similar in that same wheelbarrow, that same universe that they're doing. Again, if somebody's doing something that's dealing with kaijus, why wouldn't I not talk with that person who's doing stuff in kaijus and hope that maybe we can negotiate something where it can benefit both of us. There's strength in numbers. So I say that if you do have a campaign or whatever, and you're doing something that's dealing with superheroes, then maybe look at other campaigns and then reach out to them. And when I say reach out to them, please be very, you're the one who's going to talk to this person or individual. So the thing is that we got to come with a level of being humble. Come with a level of like, hey, how you doing, what's going on. Look at their campaign. you know there's the art of being courteous. Many times I can tell you stories of when I was first starting out, and I learned how to write cover letters and just letters in general. That was something, and I didn't go to school to learn that. It was like stuff to where I was getting magazines and stuff, and I started hearing people, and they said, yeah, you just write letters. So even if I got a rejection from a company, and I mean, sometimes it was funny because it was like, I remember I started talking to a lot of, and again, I had many mentors, and they said, well, Frank, they said, how do you know that this is personal? There's a lot of reasons why you're not hired for a job, because maybe the job isn't available right now or whatever. But most times when you're in your own world, and you whatever, and you're around people who are engaging in these negative kind of views, then that's all you can think of it, that it's like DEFCON 5 or whatever, like it's the end of the world kind of mentality. Where in many cases, sometimes these companies may not have use for you right now. But with that said, that person was like, well, Frank, what you should do is be gracious in the fact that this company or whoever took the time to look at your thing, and then you plant the seed. You say, well, I just want to let you know, thank you very much for taking a look at what I'm doing, and hopefully you can put my stuff on file, and then you'll know that if you do need me for a particular project, then by all means you'll have my stuff on file. Thank you very much. Take care. All the best. And then a few months down the line, you send another just a welcoming email or a letter. At the time I was writing letters, and I was just say, well, hey, how you doing? I'm just checking in. I just want to thank you again. A couple of months ago I sent you this thing and you responded, and I hope everything's going well. Boom. That's it. You're engaging. And I tell you, that's how I got work on many different projects, many companies, agencies. Because out of the blue, they would be like, well, we just got your letter and stuff like that. Thank you very much. We'd like for you to come in, see the art director or creative director or the art buyer, blah, 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 blah. All because I did not approach it from a standpoint where it was just, oh man, like the end of the world kind of scenario. Like they don't like me, like treating it as a personal kind of attack. It's not personal. These people they don't know me personally. They just know I'm just some cat who sent some stuff in, sent artwork in, and they probably looking at other files with a big heap of other artwork and stuff like that. What's gonna set me apart from those other artists on that heap of art that this particular company is looking at? Well, maybe even just a nice letter, just the fact that they can see that I'm somebody who is who understands about about the industry and stuff like that, and that this kind of stuff happens, and that if something does come up, hey, I'll be available. That's all. Nothing personal. It took years, not a lot of years, because I didn't have that choice. I didn't have that kind of thing where you gotta you got that luxury. It was all about me. I was like, I gotta work. Work. So I was a fast learner, and yeah, and it's helped. I don't treat it as a personal attack or whatever. I just go, well, okay, it just didn't work. There's many times I've worked on projects and I said, I know most likely this person isn't gonna hire me again, but that's okay. That's okay. That's their choice. If they don't want to hire me, all I can do is do the best I can do, and then find a new client. Get my game up and find a new client. Move on. Don't get yourself, something in the world. There's a lot of people out here in this world, billions of people. If you can't find somebody that's gonna, like what you're doing, then yeah, there may be some issues, but I doubt it. I doubt you've sent out to a billion people. And all I'm saying is pretty much what every other person that has been in this field said. Todd McFarlane says it all the time. Every video I've ever seen, he's mentioned it, where he's got his levels of rejection letters and stuff like that. Any person that has been successful in anything, and who hasn't been like literally somebody's giving something to them, they will have the same story. I'm only saying the same story because this is what happened to me. But the most successful people out there who came from like the ground up, they have the same kind of story, same kind of experiences. Maybe a little different here and there, but pretty much the same. All right. This is going to be the final card right now. And this, what time is it? Oh, yeah, wow. Oh, yeah, it's going to be the final one. I usually try to do at least a 2-hour one on these. So this is, I believe his name is Tom Servo. So, yeah, Mystery Science. Oh, my God, it's so funny. What a concept. Oh, genius. Sheer genius. All right. Once more, I want to thank everybody for coming by and just checking out the artwork that I'm doing. And again, the description of what I'm doing is in my post, but I'll just tell you anyway again, that these are the sketch cards, some sketch cards from the fulfillment side of the campaign that me and Matthew Blair did for KAIJUS and COWBOYS. And KAIJUS and COWBOYS will be a comic book series due out next year by Second Sight Publishing. So, and that happened pretty quickly. That happened this year when we got accepted by Second Sight. So it's been kind of like a roller coaster ride for both of us. We've had to make some shifts on some things and stuff, which is great. It's okay. Adaptation is sometimes a good thing. You gotta adapt. Don't get too complacent. My number one saying: don't get too complacent. Complacency will kill creativity. Also, inside the description is Iconics sketch cards. Karen's part of it. Karen's I think I can't look at my thing, but I think I put her email link in. Definitely. If you're into having top quality trading card stock, I would highly say this is a 32 point. I can't think of the name, black line, because there's a thin black line in it, but it's really good. And I got this again. A shout out to Mike James and Artists United. He tends to do a series of these blank trading cards. He did the 80s, the 90s, and he did a couple other ones too. And yeah, I asked him about it. I said, "What are you using, man?" and stuff, and he told me and stuff, and so yeah, I had to go for it. So it's really good stuff, and I'm glad I was able to get it done for our campaign. And actually, I'll admit again too, Karen actually, it's really cool. She actually caught a typo when I was first sending it in to get the cards done. She caught a typo for me, because that happens. My brain was like, oh, sometimes our brain stays sleepy and you kind of just, mistakes happen. It's called being a human. And she caught it, and that impressed me even more. I mean, that's just amazing. You often wonder, you go, man, because the printer, is somebody going to be able to catch something? And she did. She was just like, oh, I don't know, this looks a little iffy. You spelled it this way. And I was like, okay, well, and I thanked her. I said, thank you so much. What an error that would have been if it was misspelled. But with that said, again, if you're really looking to have some sketch cards, your own sketch cards done, blanks, please reach out to her. If you're interested in, I don't know, if you're doing comic books or even sketch cards, your own kind of thing too, again, Don't be afraid to reach out to various people who are doing it. Let me just key in on that. Reach out to people that are doing it. Like you're seeing them and they're actually producing product and stuff like that. Reach out to them and talk to them. Not to talk their ears off on other stuff. Because that can be fun too. You want to talk about other projects or whatever. But if you're truly into what your IP is or whatever you're doing, then you need to be talking about your work and you need to be establishing if it, some level of communication with some people who are doing stuff. Learn from them. Pick up stuff. Don't be afraid. One person once told me, he said, Frank, you know how you know that you're getting good quality information from someone? He said, and I said, how? And I'm getting young in my 20s, and he said, watch and see if they're practicing what they're preaching. Simple. Simple, huh? It's true. Are they practicing what they're preaching? I mean, anyone can be saying that they have all the knowledge in the world, but you look at their body of what they're doing and they're not doing anything that's even remotely close to what they're saying, then it's one of those times where you just gotta go, just I always go, you'll have to be the judge on that. But that's what someone once told me, and I've always lived by that. You know, if you're not actually doing it, then how can you offer these things you're not in the trenches too? You got to be in the trenches. It works better when you're in there. All right. Let's see what we got here. That angle's a little wonky. It's a little humid today, but I'll take a little humidity over this same heat. Okay. Oh man. Okay, here we go. Whoa. It was funny, like, because I was getting reference for Servo here. Tom, what was his name? Tom Servo? And so I was really looking at how the figure looked. It's like a wooden barrel because there's like grains and stuff in there, like the grain on the wood panels. I was like, oh my god, wow, it's funny. Oh, reference. And I look at it and I laugh because I remember when I first was starting out, oh my god, I hated reference. See how that changes? That changed when I was again working in advertising because you just need reference. That becomes your best friend. You're like, oh. All right. All right. Now, feel free. Let me know if you are you a sketch card artist as well. Do you not like sketch cards? I always wondered that too. Are there just people who just don't like sketch cards? I'm sure that that's out there too. But just for some reason, just don't understand them and don't like them, and that's okay. One of the things about it is that it's okay for people not to like something that you may like. It's okay. I never look at that stuff as a big deal. I go, well, okay, I know I still like it, you know, and I just leave it like that. You know, I don't, you know, just because someone doesn't like something, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. I learned a long time ago. It's not about trying to convince people to be your friend, that kind of thing. All that stuff to agree with you. That's the thing. Like you go, what's your agenda? I always ask, I go, is your agenda to try to convince people to be your friend or to go along with something you say, or are you just sharing what you like, and then you're just going, okay, putting on the universe, and then you just kind of go, okay, boom, it's out there, I said it, it's done, you move on. It's like sometimes when I'm, you know, if I'm out and about and whatever, and I'll, you know, and you know, and I say hello to a person, and the person doesn't say hello back. You know, I always smile and I go, well, I did my part. You know, it's up to that person, whatever reason. They might not have heard. I mean, I'll sit there and I can make the reason for it. I go, oh, they may not have heard me. They probably had some headphones on or whatever. But I can't go underneath the pretense to be like, oh, well, you didn't say hello to me. You didn't say hi to me. And start getting into turn some whole big scenario. That's just, you know, you can't get into, I won't allow myself to get into my head. I used to. I can say that. I used to be like that. But, you know, thank goodness through the help of therapy and stuff like that, it really helped me to be able to not get so fixated on those kind of ways of thinking, and to just move on, to be able to just be like, okay, just move on. You do your part. I did what I wanted to do, and I genuinely wanted to do that. I wanted to say hello to a person, say hello to another human being. You know, now it's up to that person to take it for how they want. You know. And I guess I still have that same approach when I'm dealing with, if I'm dealing with clients or like with artwork and people like my art and stuff like that. I'm, you know, as I say, I always tell people I'm very humbled by it. You know, humbled by it. But, you know, even if a person doesn't like my work, it's okay. It's all right. Not everything has to be your flavor, you know. I joke with Jess. I go, man, do they still make grape nut? I don't know if anybody remembers Baskin Robbins, man. I love me some grape nut, maple walnut ice cream. They still make that. You know, I'm assuming that's not a favorite for a lot of people, but I dig it. I'll go down with some maple walnut ice cream. Some good stuff, man. It's more about the sense of expectation, you know. I really don't. I just be like, oh. I don't allow myself to get too fixated on the expectation of it. If anything happens, it happens. You know. All I know is that I just have to keep moving. And I think that's what I always tell myself. You gotta just keep moving forward. That's what is pretty crazy about the whole thing that's happened with KAIJUS and COWBOYS, of how, like, you know, me and Matthew approached the concept like pretty, you say, kind of blasé. Like, I don't want to give people the sense that we've been working on it for years. Me and Matthew have a pretty long work relationship. We you know, worked on the webcomic The Secret Lives of Villains, and going on, our relationship alone is just going on for 6 years working on that. But I don't know, last year Matthew, again, we keep debating on how it came up to the conversation, but all of a sudden it was just like KAIJUS and COWBOYS popped into the thing. And then that happened last year. And so Matthew's like, okay, let's just come with some pages. And so we worked on some pages, and then we said, okay, we're going to send it to some people. And lo and behold, you know. But the funny part about it was that we really didn't. We really, I kid you not, we weren't like, oh man, this is do or die kind of thing and all that. No, none of that. We just were like, hey, if it happens, it happens. It was so funny. We even joked about it. It was like, yeah, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, it's not the end of the world. We'll be okay. I know that Matthew was just adamant. He was just like, well, he was like, we were going to do the Kickstarter campaign anyway. And he said, even if someone doesn't pick it up, he wanted to still try to just do it. So I probably was more of the voice where I was kind of like, I don't know. But, you know, again, that makes for a good team where he still had that belief. You know, I have my moments. Those are times where I sometimes, you know, I don't know if that's because I'm a Virgo, where it's like you know, the analytical mind will start coming in. I'm like, I don't know. Are we looking at all the equations? I'll admit, I'll do that sometimes. I've had to learn to let go of that kind of frame of thinking sometimes. You just gotta kind of go with it, which is funny because I'm more so now than I used to be. Ooh, it is humid. It's like all of a sudden the temperature just seemed like it just kicked up, and I'm busting shorts, and it's like, whew, I just feel like a swash of like heat. It is hot. You know, I'm just, you know, I hope everyone's been really enjoying this, and again, I thank you for just, you know, taking some time and just checking it out. And this will be going up on my YouTube channel, so no worries, no worries if you have to cut out and stuff like that. I'm shocked that anybody's hanging around. Really, it blows my mind, because I know I can. I know that you know, a lot of stuff that I listen to, if it's podcasts or even like a YouTube show or whatever, I tend to do it like the next day. You know, it's rarely where I listen to it or watch it live, because just time wise. You know, I try to tell people that I look at my job very seriously. The stuff that I do very, very seriously. This isn't something where I'm just like, oh, I'm just doing this for just like hobby's sake. This is my life. I went to school to be a you know, I'm gonna draw a little thing around it. Why not? I went to school to work in the profession of a pro artist. So, and that was like my mandate to myself. I was like, nope. Spent money, you know, I did have some money. Even though I had a scholarship, I still had to spend money in the end my last year and stuff. Got in debt and stuff, but I was like, I can't be doing this just as a whim. That was the thing I kept telling myself. This cannot be a whim. This cannot be me. Hey, what's going on? What is it, Arwen? Arwen, what's happening, man? That's the first time I think I've seen someone. France? Greetings from France. Oh, very cool. Greetings from France. Oh, I thought you was trying to spell my name. Greetings from France. I'm like, oh shoot, is that another way to spell my name? I remember when I went to Italy, man. I said on one of my previous videos, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. The Italian woman who was sort of like the guide, she would always call me Francisco. Francisco. Oh man, I love that. Something about that, Francisco. Oh, I was smiling cheek to cheek. My girlfriend at the time, I don't know if she thought it was funny. But I kept smiling at me. I was like, oh, Francisca. She's like, oh, Francisca, you're an artist? I can't even, I know, if you're Italian, I'm sorry. But, man, I loved Italy, man. Loved Greece, too. Greece was beautiful, but I loved Italy. It was funny just going over there, man. I remember going to Florence and stuff and just seeing the level of respect for artists, man. It blew my mind, man. Like, as soon as I brought out my sketchbook, one of my sketchbooks that is like incomplete. Let me just say that I am one of the most incomplete like sketchbook artists out there. Like, I see artists with full on like sketchbooks that are like complete, and I'm like, ugh. You know, I must have like 20 sketchbooks, and they all like of like through my time, through the years, and it's just like little bits here and there, and then they just stop. It's like white paper afterwards. One idea I had, I was working on, was that I was going to do this thing where I was going to sort of do a mixed media. So it's literally me having like one, I'll call it alpha sketchbook, and then just cut pieces and take everything from my other years and just paste them in there. So I was working on that little project, and then got sidestepped. But anyway, going to Italy and stuff, oh my God, it was just, oh man, it was just amazing. I had never seen a level of respect for art, like almost like a superstar level. Like it made me feel nervous, because it was like, oh, man, really? You people really dig this? They're like, yeah, you draw, you're an artist. Like, yeah, you're great. You start hearing these words, and it's like, wow, man. And it wasn't nothing where I was like, it went to my head, like it was like, oh yeah, your head gets big. No, I was just humbled by it. And I mean, I still have I remember purchasing some original two oil pieces, excuse me, from this artist that was on the street. Now on the street, oils, man. And God knows, I don't even know who this artist was. This artist could have, because I mean, when I went, it was a long time ago. It was like in early 2000. It had to be like 2000 or 2001. So a couple of years. But this artist, man, he was so good. Young dude, man. You know, and I was like, dude, I gotta have this. And so I still have those pieces hanging up. One day I'll probably take a picture and maybe somebody can, I'll take a picture and then maybe somebody can see the signature and recognize it. But yeah, it was really an eye opener. I'm actually going now, I guess, for my Tombao. I believe it's a Tombao. Yeah, Tombao. That's the only thing I can't read the Japanese on it, but it's definitely a marker pen that I really dig. So I'm going for this one right now. That's my nature, man. I am my view is very. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really unorthodox. Excuse me. Did I say that right? Unorthodox. And my way in how I handle art. I had people. I remember when I first was starting out, and this is back in the '90s. I was brought into a couple of schools. Some people I knew, they had me come in, and it wasn't like one of those official, like I wasn't like an official art teacher, but I was more like somebody just. I considered more of a motivator, more so. So I did a couple of those programs. I know Andover's Phillips Academy brought me in. I did some stuff for them. That was kind of fun. It was like for a summer program for kids, and I just would come in and just talk, just as a motivational kind of thing, and that was cool. I don't know if I could teach art as the way art teachers do. I don't know. I think my way is more of a like if somebody's sitting there on the side and they're just like rapping to you about life and that kind of thing, like I'll be like boom. But I would, if you really want to learn like the real fundamentals of art, I would say you get an art teacher who can give you the true schematics of like the things like the fundamentals, the basics of it, basically the coloring. Let's see if I can go back to my memory. Composition, layout, that kind of thing. Me, when I talk about it, it's gonna be like more, yeah, like those are the fundamentals, and yes, you need to understand those. I mean, you really do. I think that if an artist is just starting out and they don't understand the fundamentals of composition and what's the other word I'm trying to get? Composition, layouts, that kind of thing. Then if you don't have those kind of understandings of it, then it's just gonna be really tough for you. Not saying it's impossible, because I've known many artists who became pros who didn't even go to art school. I don't think you need to go to art school. I think that's a personal choice. I think that if you have a mindset where you're just like, I want to learn and I want to do something and I want to achieve, then I think you will succeed because you have the mindset of it. So yeah, going to art school also is something where I'm a strong advocate, not advocate, but a believer. God, I gotta start picking my words right. Jeez, all over the place. I'm a strong believer that not everyone should go to college. I don't think anyone should go to college. I wish there were more trade schools. I think that trade schools are great. I think that if you do decide to go to college, it should be your choice. It should be something that you're willing, that you understand what's going to go on and stuff and whatever. But I also think that trade schools would be great too. Just really depends on what you want. But I don't think it should be something where somehow you go, well, I'm gonna go to art school, I'm gonna go to college, and then all these miraculous things are gonna happen. I don't know. I can't tell you. Because I'll tell you one thing, even in the 90s, when I first left art school, I didn't immediately get into, getting paid doing art. It was definitely about hustling hard too. I mean, you're talking at the age before really when the internet was even around. So I was doing the old school, like knocking on doors, just like many others. The old school, have your portfolio case out, you're going in, like you get a call, you get your business card, that kind of thing. This is, now we live in an age and time where I don't even know if most portfolios should be online, I think, or people be like, send me a PDF of your art. It's just so radically different than when I got in. And I don't know if it's for the better, because I think that in a certain degree, there has been that element of just getting out there and meeting and talking to people in person. That's been eliminated. So it gets tricky, because I think that helped me too. By me going into and and talking and then negotiating with people and stuff like that, it helped bolster up my capability of just dealing with just people. And that's so important too, especially when you're doing this line of work. All right. I wonder if there's any more people overseas that are checking this out. Again, this is one of those things where I look at when I look at the internet and stuff like that. I look at it as this capability of reaching on a global level. It's just that's incredible. You know, that my artwork right now, like this right here, is being viewed by, say, a person from France or a person from Africa or a person, you know. I never would have had that back in the early 90s. No way, man. My work would not have been seen unless, and that was the heyday of going to cons and stuff like that. And even still, that would have been tougher because now you're competing with like, oh, say, a few other, like, if not 100 other different people who are, you know, on certain levels of scale, you know, of what their skill set is. That's what you're going up against. Oh, all right, people. Whew. All right, so let me take them all out again. So you guys can take a look. I'm gonna add a couple of little white spots down here. I'll leave these guys right here. I'm going to refresh the page and stuff. Let's see how this looks. Thank you so much for coming by and hanging with me and stuff. 17 comments. Oh, that's crazy. Wow, you guys, you're gonna make me blush. All right, so time to add some. This is my Signa. It's the Signa white pen. And if you go onto my YouTube channel, which is in the my posting. God, it's about that time. Then you can go on there and I talk about these too, about the tools that I use and stuff, because I think that's important. I think there's that sense where I want people, like, when I post my stuff on my YouTube channel, as I've said before, and I'll keep saying it, I treat it like it's a portfolio. That's my mindset. This is my portfolio, and it's just like the same equivalent of having a web page. The only difference is that you're actually hearing my voice, I'm interacting on some level, and you're getting to see my artwork, and you're getting to see the process of what I'm doing. And I think that does help people on a certain level. Now, I'm not there to give you the basic, you know, I'll teach you about the fundamentals and stuff like that. That's just not there. That's something I'm not doing that. What I am doing, hopefully, is being a part of your inspirational journey into doing artwork or creativity. And this is for writers as well. So you come onto my page, you see it, you see that the kind of person I am, you hear that I'm somebody who came from a life of, you know, there was a lot of goodness, but there also was a lot of bad events as well that happened in my life. But I did not allow the bad events to shape who I was as a human being, as a artist, as somebody who genuinely is passionate about this, that I made a career doing this, and that I want to see a continuation of this artistic journey with the new artists. You know, I want this to continue. I want to be like, hopefully, knock on wood, in my 90s and stuff, and then looking back at some artwork and being like, whoa, look what these kids are doing, man. Like, oh my God, it's incredible. And have a smile on my face to still see that traditional art is still being done by kids who, you know, they've never even experienced that stuff. You know, I want to be able to see that and experience that. So maybe by going on my page, even doing these live stream drawings, you can see this. It's going to inspire you, and then you go and see other artists that are doing it, because other artists are doing it. Other artists that are doing stuff where they're actually teaching people and stuff like that. There are so much stuff that is right now available for any person out there. You go on YouTube. There's so many tutorials out there. So much stuff, much more stuff than I ever could have had when I was first getting out there. I was going to bookstores and reading things. I was talking to people physically. I was just absorbing as much information as I could. And then I had to put, you know, the feet to the pavement and then go out there and actually initiate it. And so please, please, please use these vast vast amount of information that's right now at your fingertip. Yes, I know it's fun to talk about all this other stuff, about these other IPs and stuff. I love Godzilla. I love the MCU. I love Voltron. I love all this. But those are already legacy, and let me just say it again, legacy IPs. That means that they're already into the consciousness of generations. They don't need any more help. They're here. They're here to stay. It's like Dunkin' Donuts. People will always remember Dunkin' Donuts. Regardless, they're going to remember Dunkin' Donuts. But who are you going to be? Are they going to see who your voice is? What is your IP going to be? I want you to be out there and talking about your IP. Grasp the moment right now. If you're into the genre of, like I am, into giant robots and monsters, then embrace what Godzilla and Kong are doing, what Ultraman's doing, what all this other stuff's doing, and then take that energy and utilize it onto your own personal IP. If you can, build and collaborate with people who are like-minded, who are all driven, who are going to try to get something done. Get it done. Just get it done. Just do it. Don't sit and constantly keep asking questions. I mean, it is odd for me when I see people who post things about, should I do this or not? That is the weirdest thing to me ever. I got to be honest with you. Because the thing is, I grew up in a time where people just did it. I don't think Kevin Eastman or Peter Laird sat there and asked people, should I do the Ninja Turtles or not? They just did it. I don't think Brian Pulido or Stephen Hughes sat there and said, oh, I don't know, man. Maybe we should ask a couple thousand people whether or not we should do Evil Ernie or Lady Death, or the Pennies when they did Elf Quest. Do you think they sat there and said, I don't know, man, I don't know. I had this idea bouncing around my head and stuff. I think we should wait and then ask a bunch of 10,000 people to see what they think. No, they did it. They got it done. They put it out there, and then people were able to see it. Either they embraced it or they didn't embrace it. But whatever happened, they just put it out there and they did it. So please, get past the point of trying to ask people whether or not you should do it. Just do it. You don't ask a person whether or not you're going to get on a bike and start riding a bike, are you? Really, seriously, ask yourself that. Are you going to ask somebody whether or not you can ride a bike? No, you get on the bike and you ride it. You ride a little bit, you fall, you get back up, you ride. Don't ride into traffic. Don't be wary of that. Look both ways, please. But I'm just saying, you don't need somebody to tell you to do something. All you need is yourself, your capability, your will to make it happen. And then you put it out there and then you see what happens. That's how it's always been done. That's a great formula to follow. And if you're going to ask, and then once you start getting it going, and then you want to ask about certain little things like editing and that, and then that's all part of it. Then sure, you can do that. But that means you already got your product. You're already at a stage where you already got your product already set. And now you're just asking people to see, hey, I got a couple of little rough edges here. Can you help me out? Can you just take a look at this or whatever? But you've already done it. You've already started the process. So with that said, that's my rant. And I've had a few of them. But I want to feel like the stuff I say, I don't want it to just be empty little things, man. I want people to truly be able to do stuff, man. Because I think it's important. It's very important. It's important that we keep this thing going. All right. Okay. Had to get that off my chest. There's a lot of talented people out there. And I think sometimes they're getting bogged down, they're getting lost. The objective is getting mulled over by inconsequential things, and you can get on the track. It's not impossible. It's not impossible for you to achieve what you want. You just gotta want it. So with that, you know what? I think I may add some. I don't know. Should I? I like it like that. I don't leave it like that. That's that part too. I remember my teacher used to tell me, he said, sometimes you just gotta bless it. And I'm looking at this going, okay, I'm going to bless it. I'm not going to get too crazy with this and stuff like that. All right? So that's cool. Put a little highlights in there. So he's done for now. And I still got a couple more I got to do. And then the next stage will be adding the gray tones, which is going to be really fun. All right, the next person up, Godzilla. Let me take a look at him. God, there's really nothing else. Maybe I can hit a little hints up in here. I don't want to do too much white because I'm going to be adding some Copic grays down in here, so I got to be very careful. Although the Copic grays go pretty good over these too. You can add a nice little highlight on it, but I don't want to start messing up, so I'm gonna step away from that one. So this one is good. He's done. Good. All right, next guy. This is gonna be Richard Parks. There he goes. Actually, I think I had a little bit more hair on there, but I wanted to put some little eyes in here. Just felt like it just needed a little pop up. Okay. Yeah. But I did catch a little bit. I think I'm gonna add a little bit in that beard. It just looks like a little spot right in there, and I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, definitely. If you've missed out on that, on Richard's, the R.R. Parks, Ultraman set. Oh, I mean, getting it. Oh, boy. Oof. Well, I'm just glad that it was so successful. And I mean, really successful. Man, that was a fantastic job he did. And again, he's just another one. He's another one of those forces that is helping many people like me and Matthew who are doing stuff that's in this genre. So we want that stuff to succeed. All right, this one's done. All right, I wanted to add a little line. I don't like the fact that this I painted accidentally over that, and that happens. Again, that's all part of it. So I'm gonna put the little paper. That's why I kind of put the paper there sometimes, because these are dry a little bit, but that's okay. You tap it out. There you go. A little bit of line work. Yeah, there you go. I think that's it. And then let it dry. And that's, for now, a wrap. And then, here, I'll just show you guys a quick little preview of some of the other stuff. These are some of the other ones that I did. I'm very happy that some of the people chose me to do the bot with no name. It just makes me feel good as an IP owner that again, it's our character, you know, and we definitely want to be talking about our character. I love other IPs, and you know, and again, I respect it and stuff like that. I mean, I did a picture of Storm. And then this is a person's character right here as a cowgirl. And actually, now I think about it, I think I may put like her hat too, right back here. So she has like a thing, so maybe her hat's kind of dangling back there. So I'll add that in there later. Just a little note, but the cowgirl. But I got a couple of these. I got to do a couple of the bot with no name. It's a really cool character. So I'm very happy. And I got to do some, it's a Kamen Rider, so those would be popping up too. I'll probably do some videos. This Gamera is pretty cool. Gamera is always fun. I gotta admit, when people talk about favorite kaijus, Gamera is a really fun one. And then again, the bot with no name. So I was very fortunate. I got at least four bots with no name, and then I got a Clean Sword one too. It's a Clean Sword one that I got to clean up. Yeah, drawing like from real people life. It's definitely a struggle, but you know, you try to do the best you can. Try to do it, you know, trying to get it to mask into my style, but you know, you make it work. And with that, there you go. Yeah. So just gotta sort of divvy these out to the people who end up getting them and stuff. Figure it out. And yeah, very happy how these came out. So anyway, with that said, I just want to thank everyone again. Let me just fix this up. What time is it? Fantastic. I actually beat the 11 o'clock mark. I just want to thank everyone for coming by. Oh, I see a little bit of, let's put this back, come back over here, you, and then this one right here. Nicely. See, there lies the problem. It's always like, it's always good to do it on a, so there you go, put a little black over there. Just want to thank everyone for, again, coming by, watching me do some artwork, and just the fact of, you know, hanging around as I'm doing my little rants, because I'm a very passionate person when it comes to art. You see my saying, art must flow, creativity must stay strong. I don't just say it just to say it. I truly do believe that that artwork has a very significant place in our culture, in our society, and that we all play our roles in it. And doing comic book artwork, sketch card artwork, things like this, they serve their purpose as well, and they should not be looked down upon. And it's the only way that that's going to happen is that we start having people who are working in this industry treat it somewhat a little bit more serious, especially when it comes to the business aspect of it. We can all have the fun side of it. We can all have our geek moments and relax moments, stuff like that. That's always going to be a given. That's always going to exist. But also, when we're dealing with the sense of business, we have to treat business serious, because business is a real thing. When you start dealing with the exchange the exchange of money from one hand to the other, and product and that kind of stuff, now you're entering into a realm that's a very serious thing. And the thing is, I always say is like, how would I feel if I was on the receiving end of this? If I walked into a store and there's someone, I look around and they promised me something, and I said, okay, let me dig my pocket, and I end up paying for it, and next thing you know, they don't deliver. How would I feel? Be conscious of that. How would you feel? How would you feel if someone paid you to do something? Again, I use the analogy, and it's funny, we just took our car in to get the sticker for it. What is it? For the checkup and stuff like that for it. So anyway, I can't think of it on the top of my head right now, but we had to go in and stuff. So imagine if you go in and there's a problem with your car, and then the mechanic looks at you and he says all these wonderful things and whatever they're going to do for your car and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you leave. And they said, okay, we're going to have this done in 3 days. Okay, you say 3 days. Fine. Now, in that 3 days, you don't hear anything from them. So you say, okay, fine. Maybe it's just something a little minor, whatever, whatever. Now, an additional 4 days pass. So now it's a total of a week, 7 days. You still haven't heard anything. So now you're forced to call that person to find out what's going on. Where's my car at? And they come back and they go, oh, well, yeah, I'm sorry. The part's going to come in. It's going to take 2 more weeks. So you're sitting there 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks you're going to come in parts. Okay, so now you agree to that 2 weeks. All right, so you sit back and you wait. You're waiting for your part. You're waiting for this part to come for your car. You need your car. Now all this time, and that now turning on a total of 3 weeks, you've had to find ways to get around because you don't have a car to get around. So you've had to find different ways to get around. Now you're doing all this and you still don't have your car, and now 3 weeks have passed. Now the same garage or whatever, they don't even call you to even let you know what's going on with your car. So you now got to call them, and now they got more excuses. How would you feel? How would you feel? So the thing is that we have to up the professionalism, and the professionalism means business ethics of people. They have to understand that as soon as you get into a relationship of taking someone's money, that you have to follow through, and that's the good and the bad. You should be able to take the smiles and cheers when things go really good, and you should be able to take the jeers when things aren't going so good. You should be able to say, okay, well, be able to hold up your own integrity and be able to communicate with the individual, and then hopefully come to a viable solution that makes both parties happy, all parties happy. So again, that would be, if anything, I'm going to leave after this is just that, I want to see a level of professionalism when it comes to stuff like that, especially when you're dealing with work. Yeah, it doesn't make the greatest of things. It's not the funnest thing to talk about, but it's the real thing. Because again, I want to see more people succeed than fail. I don't want to see people fail. Who wants to see people go down? I love, people would always joke, and I always said I was the whole analogy of the tortoise and the hare, and I love the tortoise, and I love that idea of just the race, and like you're in a race. And the thing is that I would want if I'm going against somebody, I want them to be at the top of their game. I don't want them to be hindered by anything. I don't want to be responsible for hindering them. I want to be like, if I'm going to lose from somebody, I want to lose knowing that person gave 200%, just like I gave 200%. I'll feel better then. But if I learned the person only came in with 30% and I gave 200%, yeah, that's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. So the thing is that I want people who are going to come into this and really try to uphold that kind of work ethic and achieve greatness, their own greatness, not just the overall basis of greatness, but your own level of what you feel is greatness for you. And hopefully that greatness is something that will inspire somebody else. And they look at it and go, man, this person did this and that and such, and I want to do this. So with that said, I'm going to give you guys back your ears. Thank you for coming by and looking at this live stream. I got to get back on some more artwork and stuff. But as always, the art must flow and keep that creativity strong. Peace. This is Frankie B signing out.